Quick heads up, this is the full series combined all into one epic video. All 4 parts, re-edited, plus about 30 minutes of new footage. Let's get to it. Alaska. My favorite place on Earth, and home to some of the most untouched wilderness in the country. But for most travelers, the journey begins in the air, flying past everything that makes this place so incredible. So I figured, screw it, let's make an epic 10,000 mile round trip journey here from my home in Ohio. And to make this whole thing more impractical, let's do it in my Audi R8. And although this R8 looks great now, that wasn't always the case. It was imported from another country, flooded in Hurricane Ian, bought by a popular YouTuber, and then sold it to a guy who did some very questionable modifications to it, as well as neglected it to no end. In my last video, I reversed every single one of these things, from frame welding to actuator repairs, misfires fixed, and a carbon cleaning, along with countless other repairs. That being said, I think I finally trust this thing to take on a journey as crazy as this one I have laid out, but that doesn't mean I won't face any hardships along the way. I have a couple more things to sort out. Tomorrow I'm going to be changing all the fluids as well as seeing if I can figure out a spare tire solution because some of the roads I'm planning on hitting on this journey are rough. Alright, so I don't want to be taking this without a spare, so I secured this off of like a 2015 All Road or something like that. It's one of the only space savers on a 19 I could find, and it should clear the calipers, but it needs a little bit of spacing, so I bought a spacer, and then the spacer, this is a 60 something millimeter, this car's a 57.1, so then I have a ring for this too. Not the best setup in the world, but in a pinch it's gonna help. And I just threw this inside here, way heavier than you would think. And it fits with like quite a lot of room to still pack a bunch of stuff. So now I need to throw it on the car, make sure it actually fits, and make sure this inflates. Clears. Crazy, it has next to no room, but it'll do the job. Only issue with this tire is we got a leaky valve core, so throw a new one in there real quick and I will have everything I need for this trip. Okay, it's honestly hard to comprehend how much shit I'm going to be fitting into this car. Call me old, but I also put some padding down on this. The R8 seats are not amazing. I'm really not a fan of them. The side bolsters just go really high and they're like hard as a rock. So got that in there. Everything's fitting behind the shelf. Got my backpack duffel bag. Fridge goes down here. And then my camera gear. Let's do it. Indiana, home of the worst roads in the entire United States. So out of this whole drive, the place I was most worried about getting a pothole in the entire country is this state, which is absolutely insane. Basically, as soon as I crossed over the border into Wisconsin, we started seeing some pretty rough looking skies, but we're gonna just keep going. So most people that know me well know that I am a weather nerd, and for some reason severe weather fascinates me. And here we have a rotating thunderstorm with a tornado possible tag on it, headed right for me. Most of the time I would be okay with this, but not in an Audi R8. There's skies and this inflow band right here starting to look pretty concerning. Usually I'd be chasing after this, but I don't want to risk my windshield or hail damage, so I'm probably just going to go find a gas station to take some cover in. Those are some pretty sizable hailstones.
I'll put my light in a bottle, something to guide your way, even if you're too scared to follow.
I ended up losing a ton of time due to the storm tonight, but I cannot be mad. Look at this.
If the moon gives up rising, the sun stops and shines.
So it looks like I might have filled this up with the oil a little too cold the other night and got a misreading. I'm definitely gonna have to drain some of this out. Luckily, my wonderful aunt and uncle hosted me the first night in Minneapolis, and he was all too eager to help me get some supplies to get this oil situation figured out. I drained about a quart, and I think that's basically all I need to do, and we are ready to hit the road again.
When you go, just give it a little bit of juice.
Alright, day 2 has begun. I really hope it's going to be a little bit less eventful than yesterday, given that we almost got hit by a tornado and then I thought my engine was going to blow up because I overfilled it with oil. We were driving through almost 100-degree weather yesterday in Wisconsin, and I am crossing into North Dakota right now, and it is 43. So we have a threat of snow today. It's going to be raining the whole time. So hopefully that doesn't really equate to anything crazy happening. I'll just stick it in gear and kind of cruise through everything. But yeah, yesterday was pretty insane. I ended up staying at family's house in Minneapolis, and right before I got there, that storm rolled in, hailed, and there was actually a tornado that touched down 3 miles from where I was at. The car, when I changed the oil right before we left, I don't think I just warmed it up enough before I checked the oil. I think you're supposed to bring it to 100 Celsius is what it is, and then check it. And I put the oil in, ran the car, and then it showed perfectly fine on the mark. But when I checked it yesterday, it was over by like a quart, which couldn't be a problem, but it's a dry sump system, so it's not as big of a deal. But this car does have a past of having some oil-related issues. The YouTuber that had the car before me overfilled it by a lot, like a lot. And it must have went in through one of the breather pipes and into the intake, and it was smoking like crazy. I'm surprised it didn't hydro lock, but when I pulled that intake off, everything looked good, and I didn't see any smoke yesterday, so I think we avoided an issue there, and hopefully the rest of the day just goes on pretty uneventfully. Oh geez. Does anybody have answers as to why like every hill in North Dakota past Minot, or however you pronounce it, has giant numbers on the side of every hill? I mean, it's been going on like this for like 20 miles, and I have no idea what it means. Well, I've officially crossed the border into Canada, got stopped, searched, my car searched, and they ripped it apart because I had the wrong type of bear spray. I told them I had it, and because it was the wrong type, and the way I look, I guess, they suspected something was wrong, and I stood out in the cold for an hour while they searched my car. That was not the first experience I wanted here, but otherwise I like Canada, so hopefully I can make the best of it. Thank you. They also broke my glove box trying to get it open. At least my car looks cool. Take a look at this. Wow. I did not expect to see this in the spot that I am at right now. I can't believe I almost didn't see that with the tint on my windows and this thing glaring like the surf of the sun. It was only like a 10-minute light show, and I would have been so mad if I didn't get to see that. That was amazing. That made this 15-hour drive today worth it.
Ooh, that's bright.
Well, she's still there. It's flatter than a board out here. There she is. We just turned onto Alaska Ave, the first sign that we're on our way there. We're forever away, but that's at least a start. While we're stuck behind some slower cars, let's talk about how this thing's done so far. And long story short, it's been amazing. This thing has not skipped a single beat. We've done 3 days straight of hard driving, just barely above the speed limit for 2,600 miles, and I still have another 300 to go today, and I haven't had a single issue. I've got some weird rattles and stuff, but these roads are pretty rough. I'm gonna give it a good inspection tonight, see what we get, check up on the oil, all that kind of stuff. But I'm shocked. I expected this to be half me on the side of the road fixing the car as we're going along the trip, but it's been great. So uneventful is a good thing today.
Hey, what do you say? This whole town could be red by the end of the day. If you feel alright, we can throw it and drive. With the radio up so loud they can hear us from miles. Me and you, nothing to do. These days they come and go. Me and you, nothing to lose. I feel it in my soul. So let's let the good times roll.
I was nervous about this happening on the roads when I got up there, but I didn't think it was going to happen on just this random mass road. I was really hoping to avoid that. Check it out, Bald Eagle. That's pretty cool. That didn't sound good. So I honestly think I found the straightest road in all of Canada. And we did some runs with the car, and it felt a little bit jerky, and then I felt a little bit of slippage in some spots. I don't know if it's just because we haven't been using the clutch too much, because we've just been stuck in gear, because it got better as I did more, but that did not sound too promising. Mainly just in the third and fourth gear, it was like little, just didn't feel perfect. So we're gonna get the computer out when we get there, see what we get. Either way, the car is gonna make it. It's just, I don't really want to do a clutch. Never a dull moment. Sounds good though. Would you look at that? Couple of cubs. And also a not so little one. First bear sighting. We saw a bald eagle yesterday. Saw a buffalo on the road today that I couldn't get my camera out in time for. And we are not even to Alaska yet, so good signs. I'm glad I came this time of year when everything is just starting to emerge. So after those 3 15-hour days of driving, we're finally about to hit the stretch of road that it all starts to pay off for. We have 20 hours of driving through pure mountain wilderness before we get to Fairbanks, and then I've got a little something special after that. So this is gonna be a tough one, tiring. I mean, we even through the mountains for that long, but it's for sure gonna be worth it. This is definitely delivering on the views that I was expecting. Good Lord, look at that. Gotta fill up every chance I get out here. This is probably a pretty unusual sight for out here. I'm a little more adventurous with a car like this than most people would be, so I figured it'd be cool to give a little bit of documentation. She's pretty dirty, but I'm going to be trying to make a lot of stops along this route just to kind of enjoy this kind of stuff. Out here in her element. Look at the size of these. Oh my God. That is a big animal. Car's looking nice and pretty back there. Wanted to do some fly fishing, but this might be a little bit too quick moving. Gonna make some lunch. We'll build the fishing pole and we're gonna go see if we can catch something. Given how far out I am here, there is no fast food, no anything, so I had to bring a bunch of dehydrated meals, and I couldn't have found a better spot for this one. Absolutely breathtaking view. Officially hit the Yukon. So we went through Saskatchewan, Alberta, British Columbia, now we're in Yukon. So that'll be my final little snippet of Canada, and then we're up to Alaska. It's pretty wild to visualize just how far I've come. I came from right there, and we're up here now. That is a big boy. Even imagine hitting something like that in a car like this. I would be gone, like immediately. Oh, well, I'd say that's probably not a good idea, but do whatever you want to do, dude. You can't even go around a corner without seeing this kind of stuff. I've never seen so much wildlife in my entire existence. Look at these guys. That is a big, big animal. Oh my god. Puppy. That was a cool little gas station, just wood heater inside, dog on the porch, and a guy just hanging out. Fuel was not cheap, but I kind of expected that, and he thankfully warned me that in between Destruction Bay and Tok, Alaska, the road is in really bad condition. He said there's frost heaves everywhere and potholes. So I'm going to have to keep a really close eye out on that, or I'm going to be utilizing that spare tire I brought, and he said I could probably get airborne if I miss one of them. So really don't want to be a flying car this trip. So it's really going to be a long couple days because I'm going to be laser focused on this road, 10 and 2ing it. But I guess that's what we have to do to get up to where we want to go in a car as stupid as this one. Got a black dot off the road over there. What do you think it's going to be, a bear or a buffalo? That looks like that would be a bear. Alright, that's like number 15 for today. What's up, buddy? They seem pretty unbothered. Oh, I say that and then they ran off. Oh, that's a baby. There has to be a mom somewhere. Hey, bud. You're safe. There you go. I'm really puzzled on what's going on with this transmission, because if you like give it some gas, it shifts perfectly normal, but if I slow down, oh, my other camera just fell. I can go into like third and then lightly go. The RPMs kind of stay, like they shift and then it drops again. It's almost like the clutch is trying to figure out where it needs to engage, or I don't know, but if it was truly a clutch slipping, it should be under load, third gear pulls, 1 or 2, 3 shifts, but it's just in a kind of different way. But I know these are complicated clutch systems, so no telling what it could be. We're about a couple hours from Whitehorse, and you'll see I have about half tank of gas, 200 miles still empty. I filled up and had 430 miles of range, and we haven't passed a gas station since. So 230 miles without a gas station, there's no sight of anyone like out here. The guy behind me ran out of gas, pulled over, talked to him. Not much I could do about it though. So if you're ever driving this stretch, make sure to stop at literally every gas station. about to pull into Whitehorse in a couple minutes, and today I only drove 550 miles in 9.5 hours, which is nothing compared to the rest of the days, but today really got to me. This is like the first day that I've actually felt tired. The rest of the days, I don't know how, but the miles just went down like nothing. But all these roads out here are way worse than I was expecting them to be, honestly, which is unfortunate. I've just had to keep my eyes peeled and like paying 110% attention. So I might take a little bit of a rest tomorrow morning and then get on the road late, and we'll be up into Fairbanks by the afternoon, hopefully. We've made it to Whitehorse. I saw my first stoplight in like 24 hours. I can smell wood burning from all the fireplaces. And there's food up there on the horizon. Not looking too great out there. Just hope it's not pouring down rain once I hit these really terrible roads. I managed to find some 94 octane here in Whitehorse. One of the things that I was most worried about on this is all the gas along these super rural stops is just terrible. And the car seems okay with it, but I know it's actually probably not too happy, so it was really nice to find this. So I've been doing like 14 to 16 hour drives with just a few hours of sleep for 4 days straight. It finally caught up to me. Last night I crashed. I only slept like 8 hours, but I got a super late start. Hard to fall asleep when the sun doesn't set till 2 a.m. But we have our first actual meal of the whole trip that's not fast food, so I'm gonna crush that, and we'll see if we can get to Fairbanks. Goodbye, civilization. Next stop is going to be Destruction Bay, which I was told is where the roads start to get pretty bad. I've got to know the lore behind Destruction Bay's name. Get extremely sketchy. There's a 100-kilometer speed limit on this, and oh my god, I like can't even talk. I have to concentrate so hard. I mean, if you don't go at it at a decent speed, then you're never gonna make it. But look at, like, there's frost heaves everywhere, and then bumps and stuff, and they unfortunately have stopped labeling these. So feeling a little bit less confident, but I just gotta stay as prepared as possible. My suspension light just came on, which is funny because the car has coilovers and it has those like things that fool the computer into thinking the stock mag rides are still there, so it doesn't produce that light. But this road's just been so rough that it must have jostled something around to actually think there's a problem and throw that on. ride would have been amazing right now. So I knew that these roads would be rough on the way up here, but I honestly had no idea how bad it actually was going to get. Since I left Haines Junction, which is, like I said, a handful of hours away, I haven't seen another car. I've seen trucks and SUVs and maybe one or two semis, but no actual car, no Corollas, no Civics, anything like that. And then there's this thing. So I'm completely the odd man out, getting very interesting looks out here, but we're doing it. We've got, what do we say, maybe an hour until we're in Alaska, and then probably 3 or 4 more until Fairbanks, and then that's when this thing actually gets put to the test. Found a deck screw. It'd be funny if I made it through this entire drive and a deck screw and a little pull off the road is what got me. Lord knows what this goes to. I've been very careful on what roads to go down, like off the main road, because in North Carolina I took a wrong turn and met somebody in their driveway with a shotgun, so I'm always kind of afraid of that happening anymore, but this actually had a road sign going to it somehow. I noticed for the first time ever that the needle on the radiator was like a micromillimeter above where it usually sits, and you can definitely see why. So once we get somewhere, I'm gonna have to pull up the under panel, kind of blast some water through that and push all that stuff out. Not really concerned about it though, these things run really cool. Doesn't matter how remote you are, humans just have to ruin everything. We're gonna pick up as much as we can as we go. It's about to pour down rain. 500 kilometers away from anybody on a dirt road in an old supercar. What could go wrong? Well, at least it's not kicking up dust like it was before. Shockingly, the road is holding well so far. We will see. Yeah, there's already mud puddles starting to form. Uh-oh. Okay, and it's raining really hard. Yeah, it's not a good sign, huh? Oh my god, it is coming down. Oh Lord. Everybody pray for me. The only gas station listed on maps is that one right there. I pulled up and they have diesel and no gas, and I was scared shitless. And then this place that wasn't even on it. Thank God. Because I wouldn't have made it. There is the border crossing. A lot smaller than the other one, I'll say. It's literally just a shack. That's pretty exciting though. I can't believe we made it. I had to crouch, that guy's ruining my view. Border agent was genuinely shocked to see me, but he said the roads this direction towards Tok and then Fairbanks are better than going that way. So he said they're still not great. There's still 18 miles of gravel or so in that 200-mile ride that I have. That's better than what we came from, though. Can't believe I'm here. It's like somewhat of an anticlimactic switch into the state, but I mean, I just drove 4,000 miles in an Audi R8 through all this stuff. Tornado, getting searched at the border, had terrible weather and awful roads, just white knuckling the whole way, and we've finally made it. So that's not where my journey ends. I'm going up to Fairbanks, and then we're gonna actually drive the most dangerous highway in the United States in this thing. That would be the Dalton. and I don't really have too many goals of how far I need to get up, but I would definitely like to get to the Arctic Circle. Getting through the Brooks Range would be a plus, and I really doubt it because it's snowing pretty heavily on the other side of the range, but Dead Horse would be super cool. But the Arctic Circle is my priority.
Until we go, we'll make a home out on the road. Where walls can't confine us, we'll make our own way. We'll leave all our troubles yesterday. Look alive, 'cause while I was waiting for you, paradise is on the other side of the world. We don't know, taking a long way home. You and I were born to roll.
It's 1:18 a.m., not p.m. My circadian rhythm is long gone. 2 a.m. You gotta have these around here. Still not even that dark. The Dalton Highway. 400 miles of raw, remote terrain stretching deep into the Alaskan Arctic Circle. One of the toughest and most dangerous roads in the entire United States. Built for specialized semis and ice road trucks. Not a low-slung, mid-engine sports car. But today, we're throwing logic out the window. We've come 4,500 miles to this point, and from here forward there is no support, no backup or safety net, just me, the car, and a very stupid idea. Alright, today's the big day. We're going to be driving the Dalton in my Audi R8. So there is a winter storm warning up there right now, so I'm not sure how far I'm going to be able to get, but the goal is to get to the Arctic Circle. We are having a couple little issues with the car, so I'm going to get some gas. We're going to pull out my laptop and just make sure everything, well, it starts all right, is good to go for that section of the journey, and then we're just going to set off.
Damn, that's a nice ride.
Thank you.
Did you just drive that over the Alcan?
I drove it all the way from Ohio.
You are insane.
I know, right?
It's so nice.
Yeah.
Word. Good on you, buddy.
Thank you.
I'll be right back. I gotta talk to these people.
So we're just a handful of miles north of Fairbanks right now, and we are on what is called the Elliott Highway, and that comes into a town called Living Good, I believe is what it's called, and then the Elliott Highway branches left and the Dalton Highway begins, which is what goes up to Dead Horse, which is basically just an oil field, and the only thing that the Dalton Highway is there for is to get back and forth to that. That's also where the Alaskan pipeline comes down. So you get a couple tourists like me, and then mostly it's just truckers doing the important stuff, I guess. So I gotta give them the benefit of the doubt and give them all of the road that they need. I'm probably gonna get a cracked windshield, but that's all right because it's already cracked. And our goal is to get up across the Yukon River. That's the only gas stop up until you get to Coldfoot, which is on the mountain range. And I'm probably going to stop there and then head up north up to the Arctic Circle. And there's like a little welcoming area where you get a picture with the sign and everything like that. And of course, I want to get this car in front of that sign. It'll probably be the dumbest car that's ever been on that road. I'm sure it's going to be a sight to see up there. But that's the beauty of this car. It can kind of do everything. It's got all-wheel drive, so I'm not really concerned about any of that kind of stuff. The only thing that could be an issue is the low-profile tires and just having 5 inches of ground clearance. Got our first breakdown on the road up here in front of us, so hopefully everything's all right. Don't want to be in this guy's shoes later on. Yikes. Oh my god. I hope they are okay. That looks really bad. Okay. Good news, the cab looked pretty intact, so I'm sure they walked out fine, but that is an expensive mistake. The maps called this a 5-hour journey, so 10 hours round trip to get up to where I want to go to. But that's given that we're driving at 50 miles an hour and the road is in pretty poor condition. There's trucks flipped over everywhere, and going uphill, any truck I get stuck behind is doing 15. So this might be like a 12, 14 hour day. I kind of expected that though. I didn't really go into this thinking it was going to take that much time. Plus we're going to stop along the way, so we're in no hurry, especially because the sun doesn't go down till well past midnight. Oof. Oh, that guardrail is destroyed. Somebody definitely died there. That sucks. Alright, we've hit the beginning of the dirt/mud roads. Let's pray for the best. The car seems to not be wobbling all over the place. Traction control system in this car is actually pretty decent. So let's hope that all-wheel drive can get me out of this. Okay, not gonna lie, this is super sketchy. And no guardrails anywhere either. Sliding all over the place. Hopefully I didn't bite off more than I can chew. I'm doing a lot of engine braking so I don't have to actually hit the brakes and slide, which seems to be helping a lot. And we are officially on the Dalton Highway. I can't believe it. We started in Ohio 5 days ago and we're almost to the Arctic Circle right now. Keeping her slow. I think we're going probably 20 miles an hour now. I can't believe I actually made it to the Dalton. Absolutely insane. And this thing did so well too. I mean, it doesn't look like it, but it's doing all right. The tires have kind of cleared up, threw all the mud off of it. The car is an absolute mess. I'm gonna have to take like these panels off and get really deep down in there, throw it on the lift and clean it out. Let's see how the back underside looks. Oh wow, it's actually a lot cleaner under there than I thought. Shouldn't be too hard to clean. You can barely even see the LEDs inside the headlights right now. Wow, I feel really bad for this car, but it is going to get the best treatment of its life when we get back home. But I think it was just road construction up there that was giving me the issue, because there's actual gravel on this section of road, and I feel pretty confident that we're going to be able to make it now, especially because the rain has cleared up a little bit. There's some snow on some of these peaks, especially far off there in the distance. But I'm going to go for it. Why not? We didn't drive this far not to, right?
There's a light in each new day. If the moon gives up rising, the sun stops it shining, you know you'll have a hand to hold. As we wait on the timing, together we find it. There's more than one way to go home.
Yeah, this pavement is not amazing. Look at that. Yikes. There is zero traction to be had on this stuff. Yeah, this is like glue. Ugh, that's nasty. I was honestly expecting people to be a little, like, unhappy about me being up here, because they're just up here trying to work and make a wage, and then I'm just doing stupid shit and swerving all over the place. But everybody's been super cool, and they just laughing and taking pictures of the car and stuff, so that's at least fun, right? Man, I knew this road was treacherous and deadly, but I did not expect this. This is terrible. Oh my god. This is the only time I've ever like been scared while driving. Woo, we're sliding, we're slipping. There we go, traction control, do your thing. We're hitting straight up mud. I really thought this would be chipped or graveled, a little bit heavier, but no, it's just packed dirt. I'm honestly pretty glad I'm in like a little convoy here, because their semis and a couple of like the other trucks can't really go super fast here, and it's kind of helping me not having to go like faster than I feel comfortable with, you know? Yes, I found the slowest semi in the group. He's been struggling the whole time, so I think I'm just gonna stay behind him. Look at the amount of mud this thing is picking up. There's like a spray coming off of it. I'm gonna run out of windshield wiper fluid soon, so I'm just letting the mud kind of slide on the windshield. Whoa, we just got onto hard pack. All right, that's what I'm talking about. Every little section of this road is different. It's like you'll get a mile and a half of nice, then a mile and a half of pavement, and then a mile and a half of mud. It's just like all over the place. I know it gets a little bit worse as it goes on, once it starts to get less trafficked up north. But this section's manageable. If this can go on for another 100 miles or so, I'm totally okay with that. And just like I said, we're literally 300 feet later and we're into slush again. I think it's because these mountains create like these just little microclimates up here. It'll rain one section, then it won't the other, and I guess that's just how it goes. You just can't beat this, honestly. It's not as cold as I was expecting either. 46 degrees, that's not too bad. I'm sure here shortly that'll change. Whoa, look, you can see the road winding up there. I'm wondering when we start riding right next to the pipeline. That section will be pretty cool. Okay, there's that pipeline I was talking about. I think we're gonna start running parallel to it for a while now. I mean, that's the whole reason this road exists, so why not put them close together so it's easier to work on, right? Washboard, potholes everywhere. This place is just a vast. I can't say it enough times, but it's incredible. As far as the eye can see, minus one little tiny strip of road, it's just pure wilderness. And the mountains like don't look that big in the videos, obviously. It's a lot crazier looking to the naked eye. Uh-oh! That means I'm 2 quarts low on oil. I checked it like 2 days ago and it's perfectly fine. I think I have a half quart in the front trunk. I'm wondering if it could just be the jostling that's like sloshing it around the tank too. We're gonna pull over and we'll throw some in there. I don't want to blow up the engine. I tried to find some flat ground so we can measure it properly, and we'll see what the situation is. If it's really bad, I'll just have to turn around. If not, there's a gas station about 60 miles that way, and maybe they have some oil. I'm sure they do. Oh, I should have bought that $24 quart of oil back when I saw it. Okay, could we have had a false alarm because that looks like exactly where it was a couple thousand miles ago. I'm gonna let it sit for a couple more minutes, let it filter all down in there, but I'm wondering if the bumps just kind of jostled that sensor. Close the door so I can, for some reason, if you have your door open, it doesn't show warning messages. Huh, false alarm probably. It either sloshed around to the point where the sensor wasn't contacting oil, or the sensor itself just got a little bit jarred. Thank God, the oil's perfectly where it's at. I didn't think this car burned any oil, and at least we got that going for us. Well, the car's certainly not getting any cleaner, but the mud is drying out, so I just have a nice brown paint job. Well, you can still see my taillights at least. Definitely not the license plate. Nice little June snowball. Well, you got one clean patch now. Red dirt too. Feels like I'm down in Georgia or something. Yeah, look at this. Just marshland. We're probably in a lowland and that's all snow melt, I would assume. We have a damaged road sign up here. And I can see why. Giant boulders in the road. Here is our pipeline. Look at that thing. This runs along the entirety of this road. I think we're going to be next to it through probably the remainder of my drive. There's not really much of a shoulder and definitely no guardrail anymore. Oh, hey, mud. Ever since we hit that lowland, it's gotten a little bit sketchy. I think all the water's just running down into these valleys from the mountains and the rain or the snow melt, and it is slippery. Like, really, really slippery. I've questioned turning back like 5 or 6 times, but I keep saying, like, if it gets any worse than this, I'll turn around, and then it just backs off a little bit, and then it gets up to the same level. So I'm still waiting for it to cross that line for me to feel nervous enough to turn around. But right now it's pretty bad. And we're also climbing because we're starting to get into the alpine area, get some trees. I smell severe tire burning. There's a truck in front of me. I'm hoping it's him, but I'm gonna pull over and make sure it's not me. So it was not me, but I'm still gonna clear out these mud flaps just in case. These are also cheap mud flaps. They probably can't hold this much weight. But we also have a nice, cool 3-tone paint job. We got red on the bottom, brown, and then white. I got quite a bit of mud off that front one. Hopefully the tires are a little happier now. Okay, now I thought I was crazy. This guy is a straight up psychopath. That is amazing. I love it. Wow. That thing was geared down. The feet were moving 1,000 times per foot. Yoo-hoo-hoo! We are up here. Wow. I'm definitely pretty high up here now. There's probably several feet of snow on the ground. That looks like, I mean, yeah, look how high it is up on those trees. That's got to be like 6 feet of snow. Thankfully the road's not snowy, but that's insane. The road is now rutted. Not enough to be scraping the belly, but you got a few inches of rut there. Up ahead, probably another, 4 turns, so maybe 10 minutes. We have the Yukon though. We're gonna get some gas, food, hit the reset button, and keep on trucking. Keep on Audi R8 in. I'm assuming this is the section that guy said it starts to be the worst it's been since winter. I mean, this is bad. We're starting to scrape on the ruts and everything. Oh, I don't know. There is the mighty Yukon River. We have made it quite a bit further than I was expecting to once we saw those road conditions this morning. I honestly can't believe it. We're right on the doorstep of the Arctic. I was under the assumption that there was a gas station right on the edge of the Yukon River. Nothing. You can't trust anything you see online about this place. Look Okay, maybe I'm just blind because I turned around to see if I was just missing that there was a gas station there, and there's a clear sign on the road that says gas station ahead. So we're almost back to it, and I think I'm just too focused on the road, you know? So apparently there's a key to start the gas pump. You pump it up and then just bring it in and tell them how much you pumped. So let's see, unleaded. Good Lord. I mean, I kind of expected that, but what are you gonna do? I gotta have gas, right? Watch this rack up. I have over half a tank of gas, so we'll see how much this ends up taking. My exhaust must be heating up the mud. It's literally coming off like old drywall paint. Got some amazing apple pie and 3 shirts. Very rudimentary in there, but it was nice. Everybody was cool. Get this bad girl fired up. And we will turn towards the north. The sun is actually out now, so that's amazing. Maybe that'll start drying things out. Looks like they have all their snow clearing equipment, probably construction equipment up here too. I'm assuming you probably need to do work on this road quite often. And I'm actually kind of shocked that they do snow clearing, because I mean, it's a gravel and dirt road. Can't really put the plow on the ground and scrape. There's our pipeline there. Yukon over here off to the south, and we will turn north. Let's get it. It's hard to believe something like this stretches for like 600 miles. That is insane. I can't even imagine the amount of material they had to bring in to do that, and the amount of manpower. Wow, things really took a turn. The sun is shining bright. This morning was terrible. It was like absolutely miserable. And I'm actually getting hot now. It's 58 degrees out, and we're only a couple miles from the Arctic Circle. I was under the impression that most of the trucks on this road, which isn't a lot to begin with, are all headed up to Dead Horse, where the oil field is, but that's not really the case. Once I pass the Yukon, it is like completely empty. It seems like a lot of the trucks are coming up to certain service stations or certain sections of the pipeline to kind of work on it or do maintenance, and then the further north you get, the more desolate it is. Because I was in that gas station, or what, trailer with a pump outside, and I was speaking to one of the truckers, and he said that he hasn't worked for a month. Like, he's been trying to find a load to bring all the way up there, and this is the first one he's had in a month time, which is not what I expected it to be. And one of the other guys that was with him said that the road past the Brooks Range is legitimately impassable. He said you have to have like mud tires or be a big, like a rig like that, and have a lot of weight to kind of push down on it. He said no cars making it past right now. So that's unfortunate, but we're gonna get the Arctic Circle still. I'm determined now that we're this far. Return of the oil light. I'm just gonna pull over, turn it off, and then back on again, and I think we're good. This section has been pretty rough, so I'm assuming that's what's going on here. Have you tried turning it off? And then back on again? We're still there this time. Yeah, the level was exactly where it's been this whole time. The car has burned 1/4 of a quart of oil in almost 5,000 miles. That's unheard of for an Audi, especially an Audi 4.2. I believe from doing my research before this that this road is called the roller coaster, and I think you can see why. It's like a 12-degree grade down and then right back up. I can only imagine what this one would be like. if it was raining. Hey, we're getting into the dusty section. Pretty impossible to try to pass somebody like this because I can't even see to the side of them. So we're just gonna kind of cruise along at like 6 miles an hour until he decides to pull over. Oh my god, it's getting bad. This is better than mud, right? The dust trails people are leaving behind are insane. That one's like a mile long. I don't know how easy that is to see. When I'm green, it's pretty bad too. Just starting to hit where I'm actually at. The landscape has changed drastically. We're basically tundra now, and they're throwing up these signs all over the side of the road. I'm assuming when snow gets that high. Surprisingly enough, there's more wildlife up here than there was the rest of the entire drive so far. All at once, it just kind of hit me at how special this place I am actually is. I needed to just pull over and drink it all in a little bit. Earlier in the day, I was surrounded by snow-capped mountains and thousands of trees, and now here I am in a desolate, barren wasteland. But it couldn't be more beautiful.
I didn't sleep a wink last night. The storm was in my head. I was contemplating, tossing and turning in my bed. This is how it feels when all the welcomes have worn out. I guess the jig is up, it's time I head out. I'm leaving this town. I'm taking the same horse as before, not coming back around.
Wow. This place is insane. Hey. Yeah, we've got a couple sketchy bits here and there. Oh my god. Yeah, we'll just do that. Ended off with a bang, I guess, huh? We are 10 miles away. So, really close to the end of this. Not the end, but the halfway point of this journey. God, that hurts to say because I got to do the drive back too. But we're about to turn around up here shortly. And I don't know what I'm going to do on the way back. I stopped 10,000 times on the way here. I don't know if I'm going to stop again because it's the same route. But with the weather, how much it changes, I bet each little section is going to feel a little bit different than it did on the way up. So who knows, I might bomb through it if the weather's bad. If the weather's good, we will probably be doing a lot of stopping again. I'll catch you in a couple minutes and we will be at the Arctic in an Audi R8. Just when we're about a mile from there, I hit the biggest bump of the whole trip, and there goes my rear view again. Oh! Yikes. Okay, we're slowing way down. About 10. That should do. I see a sign up here on the side of the road. Although, I mean, driving that far to get to a sign, I wanted the journey, and this is just like the end point. So I'm really excited that I made it. I still have to go back, but we are gonna pull in up here, get some photos with the car, because this is definitely one of the most ambitious trips. Probably not one of the most ambitious, the most ambitious trip I've ever taken in my life. We did it. We drove an Audi R8 4,500 miles so far to the Arctic Circle on some of the worst roads you could ever imagine. So this is just the halfway point of the journey. I got to make it home still, but we're going to kind of hang out for a minute, eat some lunch, and enjoy what we just did. Incredible. And look at that. We've got a perfect little site over here. Oh, hi, bird. We're going to make some dinner over here and hit the road. While we're here, let's make sure this frame held up, because that was, like I said, a serious beating. Oh, there's some screws. Perfectly fine. I'm glad we put those plates in there. What are my thoughts on the Dalton Highway? It's sketchy. It's way worse than I expected it to be. Usually I have a pretty can-do attitude. If something can be done, I think I can do it. This one tested me quite a bit, and like I said, I still have to go back the other way. I'm hoping the weather holds, but the road was terrible. Like that guy said earlier at the gas station, it's the worst it's been since midwinter. And if you are wanting to do this, I would not do it in a car, any type of car. SUV, truck, four-wheel drive with good off-road tires. Mosquito. Other than that, there's a chance you might not make it. I mean, I came during a blizzard up north and rainstorm down south, so it's a pretty bad time to be doing this, but this can't be the worst this has ever been up here. I'm sure this is pretty par for the course. But then we'll move on to the R8. Absolutely shocked at the car. I did all the work on it, brought it from a pretty sorry state to where it is now. It took a lot of work, and I kind of had mixed feelings on how everything was going to go. I was mainly worried about the frame, the tires, which is why I brought that spare, and so far haven't needed it. And then cracked windshield, which we got that out of the way as soon as we crossed into Canada, so I didn't have to worry about that up here. But I haven't had a single rock flung at my car. I guess it's just less busy than I thought it was going to be, and there's not a bunch of truckers flinging rocks everywhere. But the car has done amazing. Hasn't skipped a beat, minus the clutch slipping, which I'm still not entirely convinced it's the clutch. I'm going to wait until we get back to Fairbanks. I didn't want to do anything to the car before we came up here because it was still working, but after I get back to the city, then I'm going to get my laptop out and we're going to start trying to reprogram that and get the kiss point changed. And that way, if I mess it up doing that, I'm in a city and I can figure it out. You can't figure it out up here. So as long as it gets me back, I think we're in the clear. Now, apart from the seats, which I would have never been able to do on the factory seats without that cushion, the car's it's nice to drive. I mean, you sit down low so your arms are kind of rested up here. Just put a sweatshirt under each elbow, and then you're kind of just like completely relaxed, and all you have to do is that with the steering wheel. So I had no problem crushing miles. Usually, like, I drive a lot, but sometimes I'll get like 7 hours and I'll get fatigued. I did 12 to 16 hours every day on this trip, and I haven't even skipped a beat. I don't know, maybe it's just because was excited to get up here. The drive back will probably be worse, as it always is. But I'm gonna finish these two, my trusty mac and cheese, my dessert, and we'll hit the road. Hopefully we can get back before sundown. Let's make this an uneventful trip back. See you later, Arctic Circle. It was real. I didn't get much dust on the way up to the Arctic Circle, but for some reason, it's much worse coming back. Luckily, it's just really fine dust. We're gonna clean the air filters when we get back to the hotel, and we'll get that all cleaned out. I had to make a quick stop for my $8 a gallon gas just to ensure I had enough to get back, but while I'm down here, take a look at these wheels. I've never seen this much accumulation of dirt on a wheel like in my entire life, and I off-road all the time. You see this rock right here? Yes, this giant one laying in the middle of the road. I've avoided a million of these on this drive so far, and somehow I ended up clipping this one in the perfect spot to stop me in my tracks. It hit my front wheel, rattled around a couple times, and smacked something right at the back of my engine. Well, f me, I guess. I hit a rock large enough to, I'm assuming, break a coolant line. Absolutely amazing. Oh. I am coasting in neutral back down the hill to the camp, where hopefully I can get a tow truck. Man, I am so upset. We made it so far. At least the engine's not overheating coasting down the hill. And I was at the very top of the hill, so we get to roll all the way down. So I was driving down the road right after I got my almost $8 gas from the gas station, minding my own business. Mind you, this is 4,500 miles into my journey. I just drove up to the Arctic Circle on this road, and I'm almost back. And there is a road rock, probably about this big, sitting in the middle of the road. And I was going over a bump when I hit this rock, and I think that like made my front lower down and clipped the rock, which then bounced back and smacked my thermostat housing back here. Immediately, the sound wasn't like bad, but it just didn't sound right. So I pulled over almost immediately, turned around, and I saw the dreaded trail. So I was like, cool. Either I just shattered my engine block or my oil pan or some type of coolant line. I was hoping it was just a coolant line because then I could just splice it together and move on. But no, it was that thermostat housing. All right, now's the time for everybody to let it rip. Roast me in the comments, tell me I'm stupid, whatever, for bringing this car up here. But this has been the trip of a lifetime, so I'm not mad. And I have the means to fix it. I'm going to figure out a way. I'm going to get this car back up on the road and finish the rest of my trip. So the funny thing is, I broke down at the exact right time at the exact right location. I drove 200 miles up and 200 miles back, and this is the only installment in that entire section. So if I broke down up there, I would have been 100 miles away from literally anything, and back there would have been somewhere in the middle of that too. But the kicker is, I actually broke down at the right time as well, because they close at 8 o'clock, and I broke down around 7:40 or so. And then back up there on top of this hill is where I actually stopped and kind of assessed it and then coasted back down. And by the time I got to their station over here, it was just before they closed. And if that didn't happen, I would have been out here with nothing, because they're the ones who gave me the tow number and their Wi-Fi, because obviously there's no service out here. So perfect time at the perfect place if I was going to break down. Just trying to tell myself that's a good thing, right? I don't even want to admit how much a tow truck costs to get out here. I just peeled the part number off, and we're going to go back to the Wi-Fi over at the gas station and see what we can find. It's not like you can walk into AutoZone and buy a thermostat housing for something like this. I think I have to get it off of like FCP Euro or something like that, so I might have to fly home, grab it, and then fly back. Well, that'll be memorable at least. That's kind of how I take these things. Don't get mad, just I'll remember this forever now. I don't want to really call this or anything, but I think I just found an Audi dealer in San Francisco that actually has one in stock. It's way too late right now, but I'm going to give him a call in the morning, and hopefully I can get that up here, because I want to fix it myself, and I want to fix it up here so I can continue my trip. I am really glad I didn't end up popping a tire on top of that coming into this area that I parked, because I was just walking back and forth, pacing a hole in the ground, waiting for the tow truck, and I found a screw, a nail, look, another screw, there's another nail, another screw. It's somebody literally just dropped a box of them right here. So I'm going to throw these off to the side of the road, because if my tow truck driver gets a flat, then that would be something, right? A tow truck, I'm gonna get a tow truck with a car on the back of it. Although there's FBI no trespassing signs everywhere, they do seem to be pretty relaxed about security. First time I've laid down like 24 hours. Hopefully I don't fall asleep when he shows up. Looks like someone got stuck. It's like 2.5 feet down. So I came down here to look at the bridge, and I found something arguably cooler. So up from the top, that looks like rocks with a little bit of snow on it, right? This is all ice. Like every one of these pieces here. Look at the pattern on that. I was so close to wanting to step on it because that, I mean, that looks like a rock, right? That's a rock. Whoa. That was cool. Gotta find another to do that with. All this ice is like in little tubes, and it breaks apart into like these little shards. Look at this. It's like a bunch of icicles put together into one piece. And it makes this cool sound when you step on it. That's amazing. I can't stop breaking it apart. You know what I just noticed? This is a barge. Wild. I was wondering how they got it up here, but look at all these things set up under it. Those look like inflatable bladders, maybe? You throw 10 or 20 of those underneath and then you tug it and they roll down it. That would make sense, right? I can't think of anything else. Yeah, it looks like almost like a fire hose connection. They probably pump water in there rather than air. So it is now 3:42. He's a little bit late, but I'm not going to blame him because of where I am. But what is crazy is I have not seen a truck go by since a couple minutes after I pulled in. So that'd be what, 8 hours since a car's gone by. I'm really, can't say it enough. I'm glad this happened here. I see some very bright headlights. I really hope that's my guy. Although it sounds pretty large. That sounds like an 18-wheeler. Yeah, I'm not gonna get my hopes up. It definitely sounds too big to be a tow truck. And I would be correct. I sat here long enough. My ears are pretty in tune with the environment. I could tell that was a tow truck before I could even see it. There's two guys in a bench seat. I'm gonna have to sit sandwiched in the middle for 3 hours. Oh, this joke doesn't end. Thankfully, my tow truck drivers were super nice, although there was just a little bit of a language barrier there. And I don't know what was going on, if this guy had somewhere to be, but we were hauling down this road. I guarantee we were going 15 over the speed limit the whole time. My head was hitting off the ceiling, the car looked like it was getting air on the back, and this was probably the sketchiest part of the whole trip somehow. But he got me back, and that's all that matters. $7.49. So that was a fun day. A little update on the situation. I was able to find a hotel using that place's Wi-Fi and got back at 8 a.m. this morning. Slept for a couple hours and I made 1,000 phone calls trying to find this part. I called a bunch of Audi dealerships, nothing there. And then I found an auto recycling place, and it looks like the water pump that I'm looking for is pretty standard across Audi, but they label it different for every single model. So you go online and it says the Audi R8 one is specific to the R8, but I looked at every square inch of this part and it looks to be the same from an S5, RS5, and A8 from a similar time frame. So I actually ordered one from an S5 and somehow was able to get overnight shipping to Fairbanks. Now we'll see if that pans out. I know shipping's pretty rough right now, but I also ordered one from a dealership supplier chain that said they could do overnight, but that still hasn't updated. It looks like it's going to be 2-day shipping from that one. Just whichever one gets here first, I'll put on or attempt to, and then I'll return the other one. So I'm gonna go walk to the grocery store that's a mile away, get some food, and then we're gonna start stripping it apart so I can just have everything ready when that part comes in. So I found an AutoZone right next to my hotel, or rather I found a hotel that was conveniently next to an AutoZone so I could work in the parking lot. But this was the lowest profile jack they had. Definitely not gonna clear, so. Okay, so it's getting real sketchy here. We're on like a basically dirt parking lot. Well, I guess it's asphalt with just a bunch of dirt on it, but that piece was not able to come off, so I had to go find some wood and bought a saw because the only two stores around are Ace and AutoZone, and Ace did not have anything besides a 1x3. So I found a saw, cut that up, and then we drove on top of it to get in the air, and now we can get access to that. Man, I wish I could have washed this off before I started working on it. It is dirty under there, but we just got this under body panel off about 600 screws later, plastic Audi, and then we can see all the carnage. There she is. Looks like the rock hit right there. Just barely got a nick of it, and this just horrible design plastic. It's aluminum here, aluminum there, and then plastic in the center. I got this pipe off. We got 2 more pipes over there. And what I'm hoping is that this center plastic section is the same on that S5 one, and I can just retain these two to keep it factory Audi. I had to take that off to also reach this bleed plug right here. So this goes into the oil pump drive, I believe. So I'm hoping I don't have to take this off, but it's looking like I do. And I have this pan here just in case it starts spilling oil out. If so, not a big deal because I want to do the oil change as well, since we've got 4,500 miles on it since the trip began. So after a ton of trouble, like usual with any Audi, I was able to get all these bolts off. This is a fixed pipe, so I kind of just had to pull a little bit to get it off. And just like I was thinking, since this goes into the oil system, I pulled it back and we're dripping oil everywhere. So I'm glad I brought a filter. I'm just gonna have to go get some oil inside, and then once this pulls off, which I think it just comes right out, then I'll be able to get access to these clamps up here. This is, I thought it was gonna be an easy job. This is not. I've been out here for a couple hours already. I'm still at this state, and we still have to do like oil and all that kind of crap too. All right, check in back in a minute. Okay, finally weaseled that out. And there is like a rod in there, if you can see that, which sits into the actual shaft of the water pump. I'll show you that in a minute. But getting that out was a real pain. It was so tight, and I can't take this off on the other side because there's a gasket and I won't have access to that. So now we have a lot of room to get these off up in here. And then I was planning on that not happening, and then I could start it, move it back to my hotel's parking lot, but I'm gonna have to let them know that this is sitting here overnight. I'm sure they won't care, but I feel bad about it. Here's the situation. We got it out. Right there you can see the oil pump drive shaft, which goes into the water pump, and then that's what spins. It literally just looks like a long Allen key, and that goes in this bottom one. That top hole right there is what supplies the engine with water, and this inside here is the propeller for the water pump. It's really small, and then it's attached to this piece, which is the thermostat housing, and then that branches off into these couple hoses. So it's really crammed in there. I think Audi probably couldn't have made that more difficult if they tried, but we we succeeded. So I'm gonna get this all cleaned up, put the car back down so it doesn't look so janky sitting here in the parking lot, and we're just gonna pray that UPS comes through and gets me that part tomorrow. I've got all my openings plugged with paper towels just in case some critters try to get up in there. I don't want to have to deal with that. And we will lay this back down. We're gonna head up to the hotel room so we can take a closer look at the water pump and the damage. Here is the, oh, I had it put together to show you how it kind of worked, but I guess not anymore. This is the water pump assembly. So this is the drive shaft over here using this rod, and that will spin the impeller, which we'll take a look at here in a second. And this is the thermostat unit over here. If I dump that out, you can see the thermostat back down in there. So a rock hit this tiny little section right there. You can see just the smallest little nick right there, and that must have jarred this enough to shatter this, because this for some reason is a cheap plastic that Audi loves to use. And the section I'm after, since there's no damage on this or this, is this center section. And I believe this is standard across a lot of Audis, this water pump section, and then the thermostat housing is specific to the R8, but I don't really think there's much of a difference. But what I'm looking to do is keep this thermostat and change this plastic piece with the new one that I ordered, because the new one comes as the whole assembly. So we'll pull this apart, kind of take a look at the inner workings, make sure everything's good to be recycled, and then we will go from there. And in the meantime, while I'm waiting, I really want to take a look inside these two things and see how everything works. So I'm gonna walk over to Ace and see if they have a 7mm 6-sided star socket, and we can crack those open. The water pump is it's in fine shape. I mean, look how small that is for that entire V engine. That's insane, but it must be spinning fast because it's efficient. The car stays really cool. It looks like this fits on here, and it has this little scooper right here, which is kind of funny, I guess, to help the flow not just jam into this pocket here. I don't know, maybe it's for air pockets or something like that, but yeah, it draws in water right there, spins it around here, and then shoots it up and out of this section, which then goes over into here, and then the thermostat blocks off this right here with the flat piece of the thermostat, and then it also allows it to escape through here and there. And the bleed screw is right here, because when the thermostat is closed and the engine's cool, this is where the coolant comes down in through when you're filling and you need to bleed the air out. I think that might be the only bleed spot, or let's hope so, because I really don't want to do anything else besides that. But yeah, you can see this is kind of an odd assembly for the thermostat. The thermostat's at an angle to kind of sit into this thing. Yeah, I mean, God, look at the size of that water pump. It's not like my hands are huge or anything, it's just tiny. Okay, 5-10 more minutes and the other one should be here. I'm tracking the guy looking out the window like a creep, and we will get the car back on the road. And I think I wanted to kind of own that dirt on there like a badge of honor, but it was not fun getting under there to work on it with it super dirty like that, so I might be cleaning it off tonight before we hit the road again. I definitely have had my beef with UPS in the past, but props to them. I ordered this less than 20 hours ago from Salt Lake City, and it's already here in Fairbanks. This is the one that I am less confident in working, but the one I ordered that is direct replacement for the car, the fastest shipping they allowed was 2-day, and it just arrived in Anchorage a couple hours ago. So I actually think that one might be delivered today too. In that case, we're just gonna kind of wait to see if that happens, and if not, I will try to make this one work. And just as I suspected, they are ever so slightly different. It looks like Audi used pretty much the same casting and just changed one point on it. So if we look at the water pump itself, it's the exact same pump. So if you need an R8 pump, you can get it off of pretty much any of these Audis of this era. But then if we look at the thermostat area, this is where the differences happen. So they're clocked the same as far as this piece right here and this smaller one. So if I twist this into the same area, where those are about the same spot, you can see that this one is clocked to the left, and then this also has an electronic thermostat, and then one of the bolts is in the wrong spot. So all 4 of these edge bolts that you can see are in the same spot, but this 5th one is slightly to the side on this. So in a pinch, I could probably make this work by just using 4 of these bolts and skipping that 5th one that doesn't really look like it does a whole lot, and using extra sealant. I then could probably swap the thermostats around. If you look down in here, there are 3 Allens that hold the thermostat in there, and I think that would work just fine. I just have to stretch the hose a little bit more. But like I said, since I do have access to the actual one that will be coming today, I think this one will just go ahead and be returned. They put these little markings on there just to make sure I can't break it open and then return it, which is exactly what I want to do right now, just to see if I can make this work while I'm waiting for the other one. But I think I'm going to practice some self-restraint and hold off. I did notice that my water pump, if I put this in here, turns like it's smooth, but it requires a significant amount more effort than this one does. Not sure if mine's just worn or if this one's worn or what the issue is, but they're slightly different. The other one that I have coming in though is brand new. I paid an arm and a leg for it. So this actually ended up being in between a $2,000 and $3,000 mistake between the toe and the pump, which I'll deal with that later. I was actually way under budget for everything else that I was thinking I was going to need for the trip, so it isn't as big of a hit as I thought it would be, just because I expected to already spend about $2,000 more on like gas and hotels and stuff. So I'm only about $1,000 more into this trip than I thought it was going to be, but it's been so much fun so far that I can't even complain. So we'll cross our fingers that FedEx will come through just like UPS did, and then we will get an oil change, slap this guy on. Well, for you guys it'll be me just slapping it on, but it'll take a few hours, and then we will try to get back to home. All right, so we have my third water pump up here, and this one came right from Audi Volkswagen, so I know it will be good. Props to Autohaus AZ for getting this to me in less than 20 hours, and also FedEx and UPS for actually doing their job super well. Sometimes it takes longer to get a delivery in Ohio than it does here. So everything looks like it matches up pretty well. Yep, same clock right there. And then the pump looks just the same as well. So all I have to do is transfer this hose over, get my dirty clothes on, and we're gonna go throw this guy in. Well, you know, things typically come apart better than they go back together. There's just no room to get to any of these clamps. Like, how am I supposed to get up in there to that one? And this one as well is not the easiest thing to get to. That one should be manageable. They just don't give you any opportunities in here. And then along with that, you have to line this one up while lining up the drive shaft right here too. So this might take me a couple hours, but I know we can do it. I now have all those hoses on, and now's the time I have to line up the key from this to the like socket look or Allen looking thing that goes into the pump here. And it is impossible to do. Anytime I want to try to twist it to line it up, I have to take this whole thing back out, twist it a fraction of an inch, and then try again, and just keep spinning until it lines up, and we haven't got there yet. I'm like an animal at the zoo out here. Every single person that goes to one of these stores and passes me takes a picture. Nobody really wants to talk to me, but they'll take pictures all day. I think I finally got this lined up. I just need another bolt or two to go in, then we'll be putting that tube on that one, cracking this bleed screw, and then filling that up with coolant, and we'll see if we can get it bled. After that, oil change. Oh my God. I think I've finally done it. My hands are all shaky because I had to put like 100% effort into pretty much everything you do here, and holding my hands up in the air the whole time. There's no blood left in them, but I think I finally got this lined up. I'm hoping it wouldn't have pulled in if I didn't, and that water pump will spin. So I'm gonna crack this guy open here and we'll see how all that work turned out. So the radiator's up front and it runs through this pipe and then through this center section right here. So I filled the tank up and it comes right down through this. So if I open this, in theory, I should get some coolant and air out, and then I can start filling it more and start the car. Okay, so we got some water out. We'll throw some coolant in there, and then we'll see how that works out. So since it sucked that down super quick, I know that the water pump's moving. And doesn't look like we have any leaks. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this up to temperature. We'll bleed it off and I should be good after that. Nice. Successful water pump replacement in the Arctic Circle on an Audi R8. It's gotta be a first, right? I'm just sitting here with my hand on the hose after the thermostat. This is all warm over here, still cold in here, so as soon as that opens up it should suck more coolant down, and then I can fill the rest up, and we'll just see kind of what that gets me from there. After that I'm going to do the oil before I start driving it, but then I'll probably go on a little bit of a drive, get all that coolant moved around, cool it down, and then we'll check the level. But we're still getting coolant from here, so I think we should be good to go. All right, I think we just popped open. Okay, so I think that was a success. It went up to temperature and held exactly where it's always been. So I'm gonna let it cool down a little bit, and I'm gonna change the oil while it's hot, since the car was just idling for a while. Get that done, and then I'll check out the level again, and after that I think I should be good to get her cleaned up and get on the road. This is a white t-shirt. Every bit of ground out here is just completely covered in like this super dusty kind of dirt stuff. I tried to sweep it up before I laid down and put cardboard down too, and that's what I get. All right, off we go. Everything seems all right, so I'm gonna go for a test drive over to the car wash and get her all cleaned up. We'll check out the coolant and the oil after that, but I think we are good to head back home. I'll tell you what, it feels good to be moving again. Even though I'm not fully sure everything's good, the car is functioning, no coolant or oil dripping or anything, so I think all is well. Been ripping it for about 45 minutes now, and the temp is literally dead center, exactly where it's always been. So I will call that a win. I think we just replaced a thermostat and water pump in an AutoZone parking lot in the Arctic. Don't worry, I'm not using the scrub brush, and it's gonna get a better wash back home. Definitely not perfect, but it looks like an R8 again. Well, that was a fun night. Not like sarcastically or anything either. I got the car done, did my oil, got the water pump finished, and then I posted on my one of the Audi R8 forums I have on Facebook, and somehow it must have got shared around this local area or something, because the post like took off, and like within an hour had like 8,000 people interacting with it and stuff like that. So I got a lot of people from the area reaching out to me, just wanting to talk or chat or whatever. So I went out and gave a guy a ride that's never seen one before. We hit the car wash together, came back, and then this morning I went to a local coffee shop and chatted with another guy who's a Land Rover enthusiast, just like I am too, and just had a good time with all these people, and everybody seems super friendly. So we had a little bit of a hiccup the other day, but everything seems to be falling into place now. We just passed North Pole heading back to Toke, and then over to Whitehorse, and then just gonna follow the same exact path on the way home. And this time around, the sun is shining through every single one of those towns for the whole drive. So I'm really excited to kind of actually get to see stuff that's not shrouded in clouds. So we'll just do a lot of time lapse, and I'm not gonna bother you too much with my yapping on the way back, and we'll just see if anything exciting happens. I'm about an hour and 20 minutes outside of Fairbanks now, and there's a bunch of road construction throughout this whole road, so I'm just sitting in line waiting to pass. But I took a look at the temperature, and everything looks pretty rock solid. I think the car is back to being happy again, and I don't know what it is, but the transmission seems to be shifting a little bit smoother. There's still a hiccup or two, but it's substantially better than it was the other day. I'm still going to do some diving into that. I don't know what's going on, but I'm not complaining that it's self-healing. The car's happy. Good morning. Can't believe this is less than 2 days since I broke down on the Arctic Circle. I was able to get that water pump delivered and installed in a crazy amount of time, and I am only going to lose a day or two getting back home, but I have 4,500 miles to go, so I'm just going to put the pedal to the metal, and we're going to see how many of these 4,500 miles we can gobble up today. So I haven't really been able to do enough camping out just because I've been crushing miles like crazy, but this one is one of the better contenders for a good site. It's got great views. It's like 65 out, got flat ground, and I was able to actually get my car over here. I ran out of my camping meals, and the only thing I passed on my way was like a small grocery store, so I'm gonna have to try to make this inside my little pot. But while that water's boiling, because there's a whole lot in there, I'm gonna try my luck at fishing for a third time. This river's literally called Trout River, so I at least know what is in there and know what to bait up for. Yum. Ugh, rough night sleeping on the ground as usual, but today I'm going to try to get from near Whitehorse, where I'm at, through the rest of the Rockies and to Prince George, which is where I am hoping to stay tonight. Now that's a pretty good view right there. I love some snow-capped mountains. This road isn't half bad either. Just surrounded on all sides. So I guess this is what the sky looks like on a 5% chance of rain day. Been traveling dirt roads for the past couple hours, stop and go in construction zones, and now it's about to pour onto that mud. Oh look, we got another stop. I'm gonna have to wait 25 minutes. I've already lost over an hour on my drive time. I'd say it's raining over there, huh? I can outrun it, I'm happy. Wow, look at that. Bunch of babies too. Oh my god, there's so many of them. Look how close they're staying. That's so cute. This RV way up there in the distance is the first car I have come across going this direction since I got on this highway this morning. It is 4 hours and 29 minutes left on the drive. It started off almost 11 hours. So I've traveled almost 300 miles and 6 hours without coming up on another car. That's absolutely incredible. I mean, come on. How do places like this even exist? The water is like crystal clear blue. I lost connection with my stupid backup drone, so I'm just sitting here enjoying the view, waiting for the battery to die so it will fall from the sky and I can catch it. Could be worse, I guess, with that view. Had a nice little visitor as I was about to go to bed. Can you please get off my bed? Okay. Well, he has gone and disappeared. So I couldn't sleep in my hotel last night, so I started looking at Google Maps like a normal person does, I guess. I don't know, I enjoy geography, and I was looking at how far I had traveled for this trip, and the distance that I have covered is the equivalent to traveling to Moscow and back plus 1,000 miles for me. So I basically just did a round trip to Moscow. That's kind of hard to believe. It's also pretty hard to believe just how big the United States and Canada are. Just vast countries. I just thought that was a pretty cool fact. Good Lord, would you take a look at this? I've heard a lot about Alaskan bugs, but have you ever heard of British Canadian bugs? Because it definitely seems to be worse over here. I also don't know how this car is even keeping itself cool. Looking at this radiator. Check out this windshield. My God, I can't see a single thing.
In about 10 miles, turn right onto Range Road 14.
Thanks. Haven't had a gas station in forever too, so I haven't been able to clean it off, and the bug washer fluid, it just smears it around. So just doing my best. I only got about 20 more minutes till I'm at the hotel. So unfortunately, we have reached the end of the scenic part of this drive, so I'm just going to put in a couple long days to get back home, and I'll catch you back there. We're going to clean the car up and run through everything that went wrong on this trip and get it all fixed. Okay, I'm home. So it ended up being 16 miles short of 10,000. I thought about making a couple laps around my neighborhood just to crack it over 10,000, but I'm pretty beat. So I'm just gonna kind of hang it up for the day and get to bed. The car did incredibly well, but there are a handful of issues that popped up on it, as well as just being dirty. So while I was up there, a lot of people mentioned that they wanted me to wait till I got home to do like one big cleaning video, but above 45 miles an hour, I was getting an insane vibration, and there was just pounds of dirt built up in the wheels and in the suspension. So while I was hosing those off, I just hit the rest of the car. It's still absolutely filthy, and I still need to do all of that, but we're going to tackle that tomorrow. I'm going to pull off the front bumper, rear bumper, all the liners, and every under tray panel, do all the wheels. I'm going to change the exhaust, and then a few of the things I noticed along the way is the transmission was acting up a little bit. It's gotten better, but I need to check on the hydraulic fluid, maybe do a bleed on that. The rear rotors are for sure gone. I changed the front ones right before the trip started, so it has to be the rears on this one. My two front tires are very, very bald on the insides, and they were perfectly fine when the trip started, so that must have just been quite a lot of wear and tear. I want to change my my speedometer, or not my speedometer, yeah, my speedometer, I'm dumb, to miles per hour, since this is a Euro spec car. What else do I need to do? I'm going to do plugs, just give the car a general scan over, and I need to do air filters. You saw how dirty those were up while I was on the Dalton, so I've got all that stuff on order. I also need to fix that chip in the windshield, I guess, too. So a safe light call needs to be made, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done to get this thing cleaned up. But first we're going to work on the cleaning while all the parts are arriving, and then we'll tackle that and hang it up. So I've got the entire engine bay disassembled, and you can see it is extremely dirty in here, but it's all just surface level dust. It'll come right off. And if I'm going to be doing the exhaust anyway, I'm just going to tear apart this whole back and get everything super clean. The one thing I was worried about, though, is my air filters. Yeah, that's bad. All right, have everything off, and it's dirty, but it's not as dirty as I expected it to be. So I'm just going to play archaeologist for a bit, and we're just going to start getting the dirt off. That is a lot of bolts for a rear bumper. Somehow I've done this enough that I know where every single one of them goes to. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing on my part. This would be the main underbody panel. It's like the one that goes over the transmission. And these are just some other miscellaneous underbody things. I pulled everything off to clean it. And as much as this exhaust worked for this trip, it has got to go. I need that loud exhaust back on, but here is all this stuff just kind of splayed out. Doesn't look too bad, right? Until there's a lot more dirt stuck in here than I thought. No wonder it was vibrating. Oh my god. Wow, so surprisingly, a product works as advertised. These bugs are coming right off. I thought these were going to be caked on there. This is PPF, I'm pulling that off anyway, but might as well. So I'm no clean freak or anything with my cars, but I definitely want to get a lot of this stuff out of here. It's actually a lot cleaner under here than I expected. I mean, there's definitely mud up through this area, but those wheel wells protected it super well. I'm kind of not so happy that I can't get to the radiator very easily. I just have those two little scoops. That's all that comes through. So I'm gonna have to try to blast all these bugs out in another way, shape, or form. I mean, that's absolutely insane. And then back here in the engine bay, I have everything pulled apart, and I'm just gonna kind of get down here with a brush and then just a really, really light, quick spray of water to get the rest of that stuff off. Thankfully, I found a way to kind of get my hand up in this little area and kind of back flush all these bugs out. Man, the dust from Alaska is so thin. It just gets in everywhere. So fine. Whoa. I'm literally steaming. What the? Starting to look a little bit more like my old car. Everything's looking good. Found a rock stuck up in the coilover up here. That probably wasn't good for it. This might be the cleanest this car's ever been in its entire life. Final step is a couple new filters, and this car is just as clean as the day when I left. Although it looked super cool, all dirty and ratty, I'm glad to return it back to this form and actually be proud to drive it around again. Now that I've got everything cleaned up, it is damage assessment time. First, I wanted to show you the tires. Look at this difference. 305, 235. That's pretty wild. Difference front to back, but these are brand new. 2 tires fits absolutely perfect in an R8, if you were wondering. These I put on right before the trip. You can already see how much tread I had lost from that trip. That is insane. Big tire on those roads. That will do it. But back here are the rotors I got to change. There's a little bit of a lip to them, but it's not too bad. But here you will see the difference between the factory ones and the ones I'll be putting on. Here's my e-brake pad right here. And then these pads are, those are more than fine still. I've been liking these rotors, the Bendix ones, a lot. They're an eighth of the price of the like the factory ones, but the only thing I've noticed is they kind of started rusting a little bit. They did the same on my S8 because I have the same type of rotors on here. So given the fact that they survived that 10,000 mile trip fine, I bought a set of rear ones, and just in case these started rusting, I painted these. I'm gonna strip this bit of paint off here before I install them, but I just have to do the same with the front too because that looks bad. Okay, those are all fine. These are pretty crazy. Don't mind all this. I'm gonna Brillo pad that because I just painted this surface as well to match the new ones. These are 8 piston, 4 pad front brakes. So a lot of people ask me why I didn't put larger wheels or larger tires on this thing, and this is the answer. These things are absolutely massive, and this 19 is the smallest tire or smallest wheel that will fit over something like this. Wow, look at this, a brake rotor hold screw that is not stripped and seized. That's insane. All right, time to get the oil. You can see it's a very, very flat bottom car, but right here is the oil sump, so you just got a drain plug there. That's where majority of the oil will come out of the car. And I also noticed up here, A, I have a small oil leak that I never noticed, and B, the oil pan has been off at some point in time. There is silicone there, so that's interesting. But then we have 1, 2, 3 more drain plugs, all where you see those arrows. So it's kind of a pain to drain this thing, but I think they just want to be thorough, I guess. So we'll get to that, get some new oil in. There we go, we got all 3 draining. This one right here is conveniently blocked by part of the frame, so I just use vice grips to get it off instead of buying the $100 Audi tool. But as you can see, it's pretty clean under here. I'm gonna be attempting to do my first oil change where I don't spill a shit ton of oil on the ground, so wish me luck. Really cut that one close as far as the pan. And I also got like 5 drips on the ground, so that sucks. So now that I'm back, I figured I'd give everything a scan, see how everything went, and then see what I can figure out with the transmission. And somehow the only ECU code that was thrown was a knock sensor, and I only got 7 faults, and I'm assuming that's basically just because of the bad gas up there. So I'm gonna go ahead and clear that. And then probably go over to the auto trans and see what I get out of that. Okay, no clutch related things. Interesting. Well, go ahead and give you a clear. And then I'm gonna go into basic settings, just see if I can reprogram everything, and hopefully that takes care of all these issues I've been having. So right when I got back from my trip, I was left with one big surprise, and it was a welcome home coolant pile on the floor. And that really got me scared because I just changed the water pump while we were in Alaska. But I tracked it down and it ended up coming from up under this, and there's only one thing that could be, and that is the expansion tank. And these are joined together with glue. It's like 2 halves that are glued together, and they're just known to pop. So I'm assuming that's what that is, and I guess I hope it is because I bought one. And here's the expansion tank, so I'm gonna pop that off here in a second, and we're gonna test that theory and see if I was right about this. I must have got a little bit too excited in pulling this off, and when you pull this panel off, there's just a bunch of screws, and then back here for the light in the engine bay, there's this connector, and it just ripped right off. I guess I've done this like 1,000 times, so I'd probably put some stress on it, but the thing that really sucks is it ripped off deep down in there. So I'm gonna try to strip those out and then just solder that back together. Who knows how that'll go, but my theory is correct. Here's the expansion tank, and right, if I reach my hand right around this area here, right on that front, I can get some coolant on it. Not much that go around, but there we go. There's a little bit of wetness on my fingers. So that is what that is. It doesn't look too terrible to take out, but I do not want to get coolant all over my floor. So I'm gonna go find my oil extractor and just gonna siphon all that out, or as much as I can. That way it can make a little bit less of a mess while pulling this thing out. I think we've reached the end of the line there. All right, so there's only 3 lines on this thing. One of them is big, so I got that clamp on there. Those 2 are pulled off along with that. And then there's this bolt right here, which unclamps this piece. That runs all the way around, and then it should slide right off. Slightly more tedious than I expected. I had to take both of these brackets off here and here. There's some Alaskan dirt still. And then the coolant reservoir slid forward. Actually didn't spill any out of this, but this one tipped down and really let some go. But apart from that, no leaks at all. Old one, new one. Let's get it in. I couldn't tell you how this happened, but that looks like the failure point to me. It is soggy, and there is a piece of plastic missing. You can see where it's been just dripping down the side of this thing. So glad I caught that before something bad happened. Well, it's peak rush hour, and I've been ripping this thing around for probably half an hour or so, and the temperature could not be more center in the gauge, so I will call that a win. I'm gonna let this thing cool off. We'll open that cap up, top anything off we need, and I think this thing is healthy. All right, I am back, so I figured I'd go over a little bit of detail about like cost and all that kind of stuff with the trip. And I also had a lot of people like trash talking me in the comments about taking a car like this up there and beating it up, but now that I'm back and I fixed everything, the car is 10,000 miles higher, but it's in just as good a condition as when I left, so it's perfectly happy, no harm, no foul. But I ended up traveling 9,976 miles. I put 10,000 on the video. I hope you guys will forgive me for not factoring in those extra couple miles. I could have just taken a lap around the block or something. But I took some pretty meticulous notes of all my stops, fuel, and things like that. I didn't really factor in hotel to the cost just because I camped a few times and I could have stayed anywhere. I chose to stay in just average hotels. But this car, through that entire 10,000 mile journey, burned 252 gallons of fuel, which ended up coming to around $1,300, given like all the conversions and stuff like that I just did, which is honestly not that bad. That's a little bit more than like a nice flight would cost to get up there, but I got all the experiences along the way. Then that water pump plus the tow truck, that was like $2,000 mistake. So I probably spent like $4,000 on this trip. But so far the videos have done well enough and you guys are all watching them, and I almost made the money back on that, so that will kind of inspire me to do more stupid stuff like this, because I absolutely love that trip. It was one of the, I shouldn't say it's one of, it was the best trip I've ever taken in my life. I had so much fun. A couple people also asked about the spare tire and like the actual tire situation. No problems, no punctures, no bubbles, no anything. I don't know how. I had P0s on the car, and General G-Max is on the front, so props to those tire companies because they did really well. I did not put any higher profile tires or anything like that on there because the calipers are just so large. Nothing would clear. If I went with a smaller wheel or a larger tire, it's all gonna rub, so I just kind of had to send it with what I had. But I did need to bring a spare because that road's so rough up there, and I ended up using one from a 2015 Audi R8 with the 19-inch wheel. That was the only thing that would clear the caliper. That was also a space saver, so it would shrink down and fit in the front trunk, and that plus a spacer and an adapter fit on, and it was within like half a centimeter of the overall profile of the actual tire, so it wouldn't have messed up the diff. But thankfully I didn't need it, but it all fit perfectly well up in here with all my camping gear, camera stuff, fishing stuff, mini fridge, clothes, everything. This car just like did extremely well for that entire trip as like a long haul road trip car. It averaged right around 20 miles to the gallon. A lot of up there north, I was driving like less spiritedly than I usually would, just because I was enjoying the scenery and the roads were kind of not what you like could drive like that on. But once I got back down to these roads, I kicked up the speed a little bit and crushed some of that miles per gallon. But overall, I'm super happy with the way the car performed. It's I'd like to take some more of these stupid road trips, and I would also like to do it in maybe progressively stupider cars. And I just wanted to thank you guys all for following along. Hopefully I can make some more of these videos in the future. If you like Lotus, Alfa Romeo, Audi, Mitsubishi, any of that kind of stuff, be sure to stick around because I have a lot more videos coming in the future. Thank you.